Captain Taeho Kim stood tall on the bridge of the Seoul horizon, watching the massive space station grow larger in the view screen. The station hung in space like a giant metal spider, its many docking arms reaching out to grab visiting ships. This was Nexus Station, home of the Galactic Council. "Captain, they are sending docking instructions," said Communications Officer Do-Yun. Taeho nodded, his face calm but his heart racing. This was the moment humanity had worked toward for decades. First contact with the Galactic Council, the ruling body of the known galaxy. "Send back our thanks," he said, "and inform Earth Command that we have arrived." Dr. Soo-Jin Park moved to stand beside him. Her eyes were fixed on the alien vessels docked around the station, ships with strange shapes that no human engineer would design. Some looked like giant teeth, others resembled insects. None looked friendly. "I've studied the transmissions we intercepted," she said quietly. "These species, they're all predators, Captain. Every council race evolved from apex, hunters on their homeworlds." Taeho frowned. "And they formed a government together? That's promising, at least." "Yes and no," said Soo-Jin. "They respect strength above all. The strongest species get the most power. They've been watching our broadcasts for years before. Making contact, they think we're—" She paused. "They think we're what?" "Prey," she finished. "Weak, soft. No claws, no fangs, thin skin. They're curious about us, but they don't respect us." The ship shuddered as docking clamps locked onto the hull. "Well," said Taeho with a small smile, "perhaps we should educate them." The council chamber was huge, with high ceilings that disappeared into shadow. 7 massive seats formed a half-circle, on a raised platform. Each seat was different, designed for the unique body of each council species. Some were simple, others elaborately decorated with bones and metal. Taeho led a small team into the chamber. Behind him walked Soo-Jin, Security Chief Junwoo Kang, Commander Min Hee-yoon, and Engineer Hyun-Ki Lee. They stopped in the center of the floor and waited. One by one, the council members entered. First came the Saurians. They walked on 2, legs with tails dragging behind them. Their scales gleamed like polished armor and their eyes were narrow slits of yellow. The largest one, wearing a cape of shimmering metal, took the central seat. Next were the Vespidae, insect-like beings, that clicked and hummed as they moved. Their hard outer shells looked like dark glass and their multiple limbs moved with perfect coordination. The Ursids lumbered in next. They resembled earth bears if bears stood fully upright and had 4 arms. Their fur was decorated with jewels and small bones, and their claws looked sharp enough to tear through steel. 4 other species took their places, each stranger than the last. Some floated rather than walked. Others seemed to shift shape slightly. As they moved, the Saurian in the center spoke. His voice translated through the humans' earpieces. "I am Supreme Commander Sith of the Saurian Empire, current head of the Galactic Council," he said. His voice was smooth but cold. "You are the representatives of Earth?" The way he said the word made it sound like something unpleasant. "Yes," said Taeho, stepping forward. "I am Captain Taeho Kim of the diplomatic vessel Seoul Horizon. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to establish relations with the galactic community." A sound rippled through the chamber. It took Taeho a moment to realize it was laughter. Each species had a different way of showing amusement, but they were all clearly laughing. "Peace and friendship," repeated Sith, his reptilian mouth forming what might have been a smile. "How quaint. Tell me, Earth Thing, what does your species bring to the Council? What resources? What military strength? What territories do you control?" Taeho answered honestly. "We control our solar system. We have colonies on Mars and mining operations throughout our asteroid belt. Our military is defensive in nature." More laughter interrupted him, louder this time. "Defensive," hooted one of the Ursids. "It says they are defensive." Sith raised a clawed hand for quiet. "You misunderstand, Earth Thing. The galaxy is not a place for the defensive. It is a place for the strong, for predators." He leaned forward, his yellow eyes fixed on Taeho. "And you are clearly prey." Soo-Jin touched Taeho's arm lightly. A warning. He nodded slightly to show he understood. A question, said Teho calmly. Your translators rendered my title correctly as captain, yet you address me as Earth Thing. Is this a translation error or deliberate disrespect? The chamber went quiet for a moment. The soft creature has pride, said one of the Vespidae, its voice buzzing. How amusing. Sith's tail swished slowly behind his throne. Very well, I shall call you captain. Captain of a single ship from a species that has barely left its own star system, a species with no natural weapons. He gestured to his own claws, then to the various horns, fangs, and stingers of the other council members. One of the other Saurians whispered something to Sith, who made a barking sound of laughter. My advisor has just reminded me of something we discovered in your transmissions, said Sith. You have a myth creature. A Baba Yaga? A frightening thing that lives in the woods but is ultimately powerless against true strength. He pointed at Teho. You are the Baba Yaga, strange to look at but ultimately of no concern. The council laughed again. Teho felt his team tensing behind him. Junwoo's hand had drifted toward his sidearm. Minhee was analyzing the room, looking for strategic positions. Even the quiet Hyun Ki seemed to be coiling with tension. But Teho remained calm. He even smiled. Permission to address the council properly? He asked. Sith waved a clawed hand. Speak, Baba Yaga. Entertain us. Teho stepped forward, hands clasped behind his back. He looked at each council member in turn, meeting their alien gazes without flinching. You see yourselves as predators, he began, his voice carrying clearly through the large chamber. And clearly, you all evolved from hunters. I can see it. In your forms, your movements, you are all impressive species. He paused. But there seems to be a misunderstanding. Oh? Said Sith, still amused. Enlighten us. You believe humans are prey because we lack natural weapons. No claws, no fangs, no poison. Teho spread his hands. But on Earth, we are not prey. We are the apex predators. The amusement in the chamber faltered slightly. You laugh at the Baba Yaga, continued Teho, his voice growing stronger. But in our stories, the Baba Yaga is not prey. The Baba Yaga is feared. He took another step forward, and something in his stance made even Sith straighten in his seat. You are predators, said Teho, his eyes cold and his smile gone. But we are apex predators, and the difference between those two things is something you would do well to learn. The council chamber fell completely silent. The silence in the council chamber stretched for several heartbeats. Teho stood firm, his gaze never leaving Sith's yellow eyes. Around him, the alien council members shifted in their seats. The Vespidae's wings made a soft buzzing sound. One of the Ursids growled low in its throat. Finally, Sith spoke, his voice colder than before. Bold words from a species with soft skin and dull teeth, he said. On my world, creatures like you would be nothing more than a quick meal. Teho did not back down, and on my world, creatures that underestimated humans quickly became extinct. The massive Ursid leaned forward in his seat. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. I am Grand Hunter Morak. In my long life, I have heard many species claim to be apex predators. Words mean nothing, only actions prove worth. Sith's tail swished in agreement. Indeed, if humans are truly apex predators, then prove it. His mouth curved into what might have been a smile, but looked more like a threat display. Participate in the hunt of ascension. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Teho noticed some council members looked surprised, others excited. What is this hunt of ascension? Asked Teho calmly. It is tradition, said Morak. When a new species seeks to join the council, they must prove their strength. One hunter from their world must face the greatest predator on Nexus Prime. Sith raised a clawed hand. On the ceiling, a holographic image appeared. It showed a dense jungle world with 3 moons. The image zoomed in to reveal a creature moving through the trees. It was large, sleek, and seemed to blend into its surroundings. The Nexus Stalker, said Sith. Even our greatest hunters respect this beast. Many have died trying to claim its head. Taeho studied the image carefully. The creature moved with deadly grace, its 6 limbs working in perfect harmony. Its skin changed color slightly as it moved, providing natural camouflage. If your champion succeeds, continued Sith, humans will be granted a seat on the council. If not, he shrugged, his scaled shoulders. Then Earth will be placed under Saurian protection. For your own good, of course. The threat was clear. Earth would become a controlled territory, its people subjects of the Saurian Empire. And if we refuse this challenge? Asked Taeho. Then you leave, said Sith simply. And we will know that humans are prey after all. Prey that knows its place. Min-Hee-Yoon stepped forward to stand beside her captain. Her military training was evident in her straight posture and alert eyes. Captain, request permission to speak, she said quietly. Taeho, nodded Min-Hee, addressed the council. This hunt of ascension, traditionally it is one hunter against the stalker, correct? Yes, said Morak. One hunter, one predator. The true test of a species. Min-Hee smiled slightly. Then I request a change to the tradition. Humans don't hunt alone. Outraged sounds came from several council members. Sith hissed in disapproval. Cowardice, declared one of the Vespidi. They fear to face the stalker. Min-Hee's voice cut through the noise. Humans became apex predators not through superior strength or natural weapons, but through cooperation and intelligence. We hunt in groups because that is our evolutionary advantage. Taeho picked up the thread. If you truly want to test humans as apex predators, then you must allow us to hunt as humans do. As a team, the council members exchanged looks and sounds in their own languages. After a moment, Morak raised his voice. I find this interesting, said the Ursid. Let them hunt as they evolve to hunt. It will be more educational. Sith looked displeased, but eventually nodded. Very well, you may send a small team. No more than 5 hunters. The challenge begins in 2 cycles. Be prepared. We accept, said Taeho. Back aboard the Seoul Horizon, Taeho called his officers to the conference room. The mood was tense as they gathered around the table. They're trying to trap us, said Junwoo, pacing around the room. If we fail, Earth becomes a subject world. If we refuse, we look weak. They win either way. We should contact Earth Command, suggested Do-Yun. This is beyond our mission parameters. Taeho shook his head. There's no time. The hunt begins in 2 of their cycles, about 40 Earth hours. A message to Earth and back would take twice. That Sujin was studying the data they had on Nexus Prime and the Stalker. This creature is remarkable. Its ability to camouflage is better than anything on Earth. Its senses appear highly developed, and these readings suggest it might have limited bioelectric abilities. It can sense electrical impulses from other living beings, meaning it can hunt in complete darkness, said Min-Hee grimly. Junwoo stopped pacing. Captain, we should decline this challenge and return to Earth with warning about the hostile galactic community. This isn't what we came here for. No, said Min-Hee firmly. This is exactly what we came here for. First contact, understanding other species, establishing our place in the galactic community. By hunting an animal to death, asked Junwoo. By showing them who we are, replied Min-Hee. They think we're prey because we don't have claws or fangs. They don't understand what makes humans dangerous. The group fell silent, considering her words. Finally, Taeho spoke. I agree with Commander Yoon. This is our chance to show the Council, and by extension, the galaxy, what humanity is capable of. He looked around at his team. I need 4 volunteers for the hunt. I'm in, said Min-Hee immediately. My military training will be useful. Me too, said Junwoo, though he still looked unhappy about it. Someone needs to keep you all safe. I should go, said Sujin. My knowledge of xenobiology might help us understand this creature's weaknesses. Everyone turned to look at Hyun-Ki Lee, the quiet engineer who had said nothing during the meeting. He looked up, feeling their eyes on him. Engineer Lee? Asked Taeho. Will you join us? Hyun-ki nodded once. Yes, he said simply. Then, surprising everyone, he added, Before I was an engineer, I was special forces, tracking, survival, hunting. These were my specialties. Taeho smiled. Then our team is complete. What's our strategy, Captain? Asked Min-hee. We study everything we can about Nexus Prime and the Stalker in the time we have left, said Taeho. We prepare our equipment, and we remind ourselves of something important. He looked at each of them in turn. What's that? Asked Junwoo. Humans didn't become the dominant species on Earth because we were the strongest or the fastest. We did it because we were the smartest, the most adaptable, and the most cooperative. Taeho's eyes gleamed with determination. On the hunt of ascension, we won't just show the Council what humans can do, we'll show them who we are. The team nodded, a new resolve building among them. In 40 hours, they would face the most dangerous predator on Nexus Prime. And they would show the galaxy that the Baba Yaga was not to be underestimated. The shuttle broke through the clouds of Nexus Prime, revealing a vast green landscape below. Dense forests covered most of the land, with mountains rising in the distance and wide rivers cutting through the wilderness. Taeho sat next to the pilot, watching the terrain carefully. Behind him, his team made final checks on their equipment. They wore light armor suits designed to protect against environmental hazards while allowing full movement. Each carried a small pack with survival gear, but their weapons were limited, simple knives and a single stun rifle for emergencies. The Council insisted we use minimal technology, said Min-hee, checking her pack, to make it a true test of our abilities. They mean to handicap us, said Junwoo. He looked out the window at the alien world below. We know nothing about this place. Actually, we know quite a bit, said Soo-jin. She activated her datapad. I analyzed all the information they gave us, plus what our ship's sensors could gather. She showed them a detailed map. The hunting ground is a region about 30 kilometers across. The Stalker is somewhere in this area. The shuttle began to descend toward a small clearing. Remember, said Taeho, the Council members will be watching from orbit. This isn't just about surviving or killing the Stalker. It's about showing them who humans really are. The team nodded. The shuttle touched down with a gentle bump. The door opened, letting in hot, humid air that smelled of strange plants and earth. Good hunting, said the shuttle pilot, an alien with blue skin and 4 eyes. You are the first prey I've transported who might actually survive. He laughed as the door closed. The shuttle lifted off, leaving the 5 humans alone in the clearing. They waited until it disappeared into the clouds. Hyun-ki, take the lead, said Taeho. You're our tracking expert. The quiet engineer nodded. He knelt and examined the ground, then smelled the air. He pointed toward the denser part of the forest. Water that way, he said simply. Predators stay near water. They moved into the forest, walking in a formation that allowed them to watch all directions. The trees were enormous, with trunks wider than a car and canopies that blocked most of the sunlight. Strange calls echoed through the woods. Things moved in the undergrowth just out of sight. This place is alive, whispered Soo-jin. Her scanner showed readings of various life forms all around them. So many species in one ecosystem. Focus, said Min-hee. Remember our mission. They walked for several hours, making their way toward the sound of running water. Hyun-ki moved almost silently, stopping occasionally to examine tracks or broken vegetation. The others followed his lead, trying to move as quietly as possible. Water ahead, said Hyun-ki, pointing. They emerged from the trees to find a wide river flowing through a rocky channel. The water was clear enough to see strange fish-like creatures swimming below the surface. Good place to camp, said Hyun-ki. Defensible position with water access. Taeho nodded. We'll set up here for now. Junwoo, secure the perimeter. Min-hee, help me set up camp. Soo-jin, analyze the water and local plants for anything useful. Hyun-ki, but the engineer was already gone, moving along the riverbank to look for signs of the Stalker. As they worked, the sky began to darken, not because of sunset, but because clouds were gathering. A storm was coming. Perfect, muttered Junwoo, as he returned from placing sensors around their camp. As if this wasn't hard enough, Sujin approached with her findings. The water is safe to drink after filtering. Some of these plants have medicinal properties, and these fruits are similar to ones the council data says are edible. She held up a round purple fruit. A crack of thunder rolled across the sky. Rain began to fall, light at first, then heavier. Hyun-ki returned, soaking wet but unconcerned. "Found tracks," he said. "Fresh. The stalker passed here less than an hour ago." He pointed across the river. "Heading that way. Then we'll follow." "In the morning," said Taeho. "For now we rest and prepare." They took shelter under a natural rock overhang near the riverbank. As night fell completely, the forest came alive with new sounds and glowing plants that cast a faint blue light. "Beautiful," murmured Sujin. Junwoo was less impressed. Anything that glows like that is probably poisonous. They set up a watch rotation and tried to get some sleep. The rain continued through the night, a steady drumming on the leaves and rocks. Taeho took the third watch, sitting near the edge of their shelter and staring out at the glowing forest. Min-hee joined him after a while. "Trouble sleeping?" asked. "Just thinking," she replied. "About Earth, about what will happen if we fail." "We won't fail," said Taeho firmly. Min-hee nodded toward the forest. "That thing out there has killed dozens of experienced alien hunters. Hunters with natural weapons and instincts we don't have." "But we have something they don't," said Taeho. "What's that?" Before he could answer, one of the perimeter sensors beeped softly. Something was approaching their camp. Taeho woke the others with a hand signal. They quickly gathered their gear, moving silently into defensive positions. A shadow moved at the edge of the clearing. Too big to be the stalker. The shape of a saurian became visible in the faint blue glow of the plants. "We have company," whispered Taeho. "Council observers." "Not just observers," said Junwoo, his voice hard. "Look." More shapes appeared from the trees. 3 saurians and 2 Vespidae, all carrying weapons. "They're hunting us," said Min-hee. "They want us to fail." The aliens spread out, moving toward the camp. They hadn't spotted the humans yet, who were hidden in the shadows of the rock overhang. "What do we do?" asked Sujin. Hyun-ki spoke up. "We hunt them." His eyes gleamed in the darkness. "Show them what apex predators do." Taeho considered for a moment, then nodded. "Non-lethal takedowns only. We're not here to kill anyone, but we will show them they've made a mistake." He turned to his team. Min-hee, Hyun-ki, circle behind them. Junwoo, create a distraction to the right. Sujin, stay with me. The team moved out silently, disappearing into the rainy night. The lead saurian reached the empty camp and hissed in frustration. "They were here," he said. "Find them." A noise to the right drew the attention of the aliens. They turned, weapons, ready. Junwoo had thrown a rock into the bushes. As the aliens focused on that direction, Min-hee and Hyun-ki moved into position behind them. What happened next was too fast for the aliens to react. Hyun-ki dropped from a tree onto one of the Vespidae, using a pressure point technique to immobilize it. Min-hee swept the legs of a saurian, bringing it down hard. Taeho and Sujin emerged from the shadows, flanking the remaining aliens. "Looking for us?" asked Taeho calmly. The lead saurian hissed in anger and raised his weapon. Before he could fire, Junwoo's stun blast hit him in the chest, dropping him to the ground. The last 2 aliens looked at each other, then at the humans surrounding them. "The hunt is supposed to be fair," said Taeho. "No interference. You can tell Sith that humans don't appreciate cheating." One of the saurians spat on the ground. "You were never meant to succeed, soft skin. This was to prove your weakness to the galaxy." "And yet here we are," said Taeho, "while your friends lie unconscious at our feet." Min-hee collected the aliens' weapons. "What should we do with them?" "Tie them up and leave them," said Taeho. "They can explain to their superiors how they were outmatched by prey." As they secured the aliens, a distant roar echoed through the forest. Everyone froze. "The stalker," said Hyun-ki quietly. It's hunting. Sujin checked her scanner. And it's coming this way. The roar of the stalker echoed through the forest again, closer this time. The tied-up aliens began to struggle against their bonds, fear clear in their eyes. It smells blood, said one of the Saurians. It will kill us all. Taeho made a quick decision. Release them, he ordered. We didn't come here to watch anyone die. Junwoo frowned but did as he was told, cutting the aliens free. They backed away, still watching the humans with a mixture of fear and hatred. Run back to your ships, said Taeho. Tell the council what happened here. The aliens hesitated for only a moment before disappearing into the forest. The human team gathered their gear quickly. What now, Captain? Asked Minhee. Now we hunt, said Taeho. But not like they expect. Sujin checked her scanner. The stalker is moving this way fast. We have maybe 10 minutes. Hyun-ki spoke up. I studied the creature's patterns. It is an ambush hunter, not a chase hunter. Meaning? Asked Junwoo. It waits for prey to tire, then strikes, explained Hyun-ki. Like ancient earth tigers. Then we don't let it ambush us, said Minhee. We keep moving. Taeho nodded. Exactly. We use what humans evolved to do best. He looked at his team. Persistence hunting. Understanding dawned on their faces. Sujin explained. Our ancestors didn't have claws or fangs, but they could run longer than any animal. They would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We're going to wear down the stalker, said Taeho, not by fighting it directly, but by never letting it rest. It's bigger and stronger than us, said Minhee. But can it keep going as long as 5 humans working together? Let's find out, said Taeho. They moved through the forest at a steady pace, not running but not stopping either. Hyun-ki led them in a wide circle, leaving clear signs for the stalker to follow. From orbit, the council members watched on viewing screens. The Saurians who had tried to interfere had returned to their ship in shame. What are the humans doing? Asked Sith, eyes narrowed. They're not hiding, they're not setting traps. Morak the Ursid watched with growing interest. They're moving constantly, in a pattern. It's a useless strategy, said one of the Vespidae. The stalker will catch them eventually. Perhaps, rumbled Morak. But I'm not so sure. Back on the surface, the human team continued their steady movement through the forest. When one person tired, they rotated positions. When they needed water, they stopped only, long enough to drink and then moved on. Twice, the stalker nearly caught them. Once, it sprang from hiding and almost grabbed Junwoo, who barely dodged its claws. The second time, it appeared ahead of them on the trail, forcing them to change direction. Each time, they caught just glimpses of its massive form, 6 limbs, and color-changing skin. It's testing us, said Minhee. Learning our patterns. And we're learning its, replied Taeho. As the first day turned to night, they continued moving, using the glowing plants for light. They took turns sleeping for short periods while being carried on stretchers made from branches and vines. We need to eat, said Sujin after they had been going for nearly 20 hours. Her scanner showed the stalker was still following, but it too was slowing down. The stalker needs to eat too. That's our advantage, said Taeho. It needs more food than we do. It's bigger. They stopped long enough to eat some of the fruit Sujin had identified as safe, then continued their relentless pace. On the second day, rain fell again, making the forest floor slippery and dangerous. Junwoo fell and injured his leg. The others took turns helping him walk. Leave me, he said through gritted teeth. I'm slowing you down. No, said Taeho firmly. Humans don't leave their people behind. That's another thing that makes us apex predators. We protect our own. In orbit, the council members were now all watching intently. What had started as entertainment had become something unexpected. They've been moving for 30 hours, said one of the alien observers. How? Are they still going? Look at the stalker, said Morak, pointing to another screen. The creature was visibly tired, its movements less fluid than before. It's slowing down. Impossible, hissed Sith. No prey outruns a stalker. These humans aren't running from it, said Morak thoughtfully. They're running it into the ground. The third day dawned on Nexus Prime. The human team was exhausted, their faces drawn with fatigue, but they kept moving. They had settled into a rhythm now, rotating positions, supporting each other, never stopping for long. Scanner shows the stalker is still following, said Sujin weakly. But it's falling behind. It hasn't eaten or rested properly in days. Neither have we, said Junwoo. His injured leg was bound with medicinal plants that reduced the pain. But we're still going, said Minhee. Together, they reached a large clearing where the trees opened to the sky. Taeho called a halt. It's time, he said. The stalker is tired. This is where we end it. They formed a circle in the center of the clearing, backs to each other, and they waited. The stalker appeared at the edge of the trees. It was huge, over 3 meters long, with 6 powerful limbs and skin that shifted colors with its surroundings, its eyes fixed on the humans with cold intelligence. It's beautiful, whispered Sujin. The stalker circled them slowly, looking for weakness. It was breathing heavily, clearly exhausted from the days of pursuit. Ready? Said Taeho quietly. The stalker charged, but it was slower than before, its movements predictable. The humans moved as one, dodging to the sides. Minhee and Hyun-ki threw the net they had prepared, tangling the creature's limbs. It thrashed and roared, trying to break free. Taeho approached it carefully, stun rifle in hand. The creature stopped struggling and watched him, as if understanding that this was the end of the hunt. In orbit, the council members leaned forward, expecting to see the killing blow. Finally, said Sith, let us see if the softskins can finish what they started. Taeho raised the rifle, aiming at the stalker's head. The creature's eyes met his, proud even in defeat. Taeho lowered the weapon. What is he doing? Hissed Sith. Instead of firing, Taeho took out a small device from his pack. He approached the stalker carefully and attached the device to its neck. A tracking collar, explained Sujin to her teammates. Now we can study it, learn from it. Taeho stepped back. Release it, he ordered. Captain, said Junwoo in surprise. True apex predators understand the balance of ecosystems, said Taeho. We didn't come here to kill for sport. We came to prove ourselves. Minhee and Hyun-ki carefully pulled the net away. The stalker rose slowly, watching them with what almost seemed like confusion. Then it backed away into the forest, never taking its eyes off the strange creatures that had outmatched it. In the council chamber there was stunned silence. They let it go? Said one of the Vespidae in disbelief. After all that effort, they did not take the kill? Asked another council member. Morak leaned back in his seat, a strange expression on his face. Interesting, he rumbled. Very interesting indeed. The council chamber looked different when the human team returned. The massive seats were the same. The high ceiling still disappeared into shadow, but something had changed. The way the council members watched them was different. Taeho led his team to the center of the floor. They were tired, their clothes dirty and torn from days in the forest. Junwoo limped slightly, leaning on Hyun-ki for support. But they stood tall, their eyes clear and confident. Supreme Commander Sith spoke first. His voice was cold but held a new note of caution. Captain Taeho Kim of Earth, you have completed the hunt of ascension. We have, said Taeho simply. Yet, you did not kill the stalker, said one of the Vespidae. You had it defeated and you let it go. Why? Because that wasn't our goal, said Taeho. Our goal was to prove ourselves as apex predators. Killing wasn't necessary for that. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The council members spoke to each other in low voices. You hunted like our ancestors did millions of years ago, said Sith. Finally. His tail moved slowly behind him. This persistence hunting. We evolved beyond such primitive methods long ago. Have you? Asked Taeho. He stepped forward, his gaze moving from one council member to another. Your entire social structure is still based on predatory dominance. The strongest rules. The weak serve or die. It is the natural order, growled one of the Ursids. Sujin spoke up, her voice clear in the large chamber. On Earth we once thought the same, but humans evolved beyond that. We learned that cooperation makes us stronger than competition alone. Pretty words, said Sith dismissively, but meaningless. Your methods were interesting, but in the end you are still soft creatures from a small world. Then explain this, said Min-Hee. She activated a small device projecting an image in the air. It showed the tied-up saurians and Vespidi from the forest. Your hunters tried to interfere with the hunt. We captured them easily. We could have killed them, but we chose to let them go. Anger flashed in Sith's yellow eyes, but Morak, the massive Ursid, made a rumbling sound that might have been laughter. The Baba Yaga shows mercy, said Morak. How strange, and yet, how powerful. You misunderstand, said Teho. It wasn't mercy, it was intelligence. Killing unnecessarily creates enemies. Sparing lives when you have the power to take them creates respect. He activated another device. A holographic display appeared, showing scenes from Earth's history, humans hunting in cooperative groups, building the first cities, creating art and music, launching spacecraft. We are apex predators who chose to be more, said Sujin. We could have hunted every species on our planet to extinction. Instead, we learned to protect them. You preserve your prey, asked one of the Vespidae, clearly confused. We preserve ecosystem, corrected Sujin, because destroying them ultimately harms us too. True intelligence means understanding that. Hyunki, who rarely spoke, stepped forward. You called us Baba Yaga as an insult, he said. In our stories, Baba Yaga is feared not because she has claws or fangs, but because of her wisdom and power. The council chamber was silent. The alien leaders were listening now, really listening. Humans don't want to dominate the galaxy, said Teho. We want to be partners in its care, but make no mistake. His voice grew harder. If threatened, we will remind you why we became the apex predators of Earth. Not through strength alone, but through persistence, intelligence, and cooperation. Sith's eyes narrowed. You speak well, human, but words are just words. What do you offer the council beyond pretty speeches? Science, said Sujin, holding up her scanner. During our time on Nexus Prime, we cataloged 17 new plant species with potential medical applications. Diplomacy, said Min-Hee. Earth has already formed peaceful alliances with 3 systems on the rim of council space. Innovation, added Hyunki. Humans adapt faster than any species I have ever studied. And perspective, finished Teho. A different way of seeing the galaxy. Not as a hunting ground, but as a garden that needs tending. The council members exchanged looks. Morak rumbled something to Sith, who seemed reluctant but eventually nodded. The council will deliberate, announced Sith. You will wait outside. The human team bowed slightly and left the chamber. They waited in a small room for nearly 2 hours, resting their tired bodies and treating their wounds. Finally, they were called back in. The council members sat in their massive chairs, their faces unreadable to human eyes. Captain Tae-Ho Kim, of Earth, said Sith formally. The Galactic Council has reached a decision. He paused as if the words were difficult to say. Earth is granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities that entails. A ripple of surprise ran through the human team. They had expected a lesser status, perhaps as observers or junior members. Full membership? Asked Tae-Ho, wanting to be certain. Yes, said Morak. It was unanimous. Sith did not look pleased, but he continued. The hunt has proven your species worthy. Though your methods are unusual, they are effective. The galaxy may benefit from this human perspective you speak of. Tae-Ho bowed deeply. Earth thanks the Council for its wisdom. We look forward to working together for the benefit of all species. As the formal ceremony concluded, Morak approached Tae-Ho privately. An impressive display, human, said the massive Ursid. You have given this old hunter much to think about. How so? Asked Tae-Ho. Your people remind us of what our ancestors once were before we forgot the difference between being predators and being monsters. Morak looked at the other council members who were already arguing about some new issue. Perhaps humans are what this galaxy needs. Later, aboard the Sol Horizon, the team prepared to return to Earth with news of their success. The ship's communications array was already receiving messages from dozens of worlds, all curious about the new council members who hunted like no other species. "What do you think will happen now?" asked Junwoo as the ship broke orbit. Taeho looked at the stars stretching out before them. "Now the real work begins. Changing minds is harder than hunting monsters. But not impossible," said Minhee. "Not for humans."
"Not for apex predators," corrected Hyun-ki with a rare smile. The Sol Horizon accelerated to light speed, carrying humanity's representatives back to Earth. Behind them, across the galaxy, word was spreading about the strange creatures called
humans. About how they had no claws or fangs or natural armor. About how they seemed soft and weak. And about how they had laughed when called Baba Yaga, because they knew something the galaxy was only beginning to understand. They were predators. But humans were apex predators, and that made all the difference.